All righty, ready? I'm going to say something stupid out of the gate, so you'll just have to edit it out. I can't help it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Little Real Estate Podcast. Today we've got John Donnelly here from Service First Mortgage. John, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. We've been working on this for a couple months.
Yes.
We're making it happen.
Yes, we tried really hard to get this scheduled for 3 months, so it's good that we finally got it done.
That's right.
So thanks for joining. I've been excited for our conversation. I think really the only logical place to start this conversation is with asking you, what in the world was it like to hike Mount Kilimanjaro?
Oh,
I think that's what everybody wants to know.
That's the first one. Okay. We'll go right there. Well, I think the thing everybody always asks me is, what was it like when you got to the top, right? So I did make it to the top, which was the most important thing.
Yeah.
And when I got to the top, it was just relief. I was so tired, and I was just so happy I could go home and tell everybody I made it. You know, at the end of the day, I put this big goal out there to the world. And the last thing I wanted to do was fly 24 hours home and tell everybody I didn't make it.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing that I was most scared of, if you will.
Sure.
And thank God I made it. And then I got to that top, and then I was like, I have to go down for 13 hours now. Like that was
brutal. Is it that
brutal.
long?
Yeah.
It's 13 hours up there?
No, it's 5 days up of climbing, but it was 13 hours of straight down.
What?
Yeah, it was a 7-day trek.
Where does Kilimanjaro rank on the mountains list?
Oh, it's number 42.
Okay.
It's if you think of like the highest peak in Colorado is 14,000-ish.
Yeah.
It's 19,000. So it's a mile taller than any peak in Colorado.
Yeah.
It's the highest peak in Africa. It's one of the top 7 in the world. But like Everest is 29. This one's only 19. So Everest is 2 miles taller. Like that's insane. But there's only 41 other peaks taller. Anyway, it was really challenging. It was a crazy goal. I was really happy to do it.
Yeah.
And it's turned into all kinds of things for me.
Like what?
I've been speaking about it, leadership lessons. I ended up going to Nepal a couple weeks ago because
like
of
Nepal,
the story.
India.
Nepal is between India and China, where Everest is.
Okay.
I got food poisoning and couldn't speak at the conference I went to.
Dude.
But the journey has been amazing for me.
Were there any moments on the way up where you were like, yeah, I'm not going to make it?
There was a moment. So the summit night is the hard night. So we left at 11 p.m. and I got to the top at 7:30 in the morning.
So you hiked all night?
All night.
Why to see the sunrise? Is that why you do that?
Couple reasons. If you ever watch about mountains, the weather windows get bad in the afternoons. So you want to get up and be coming down before the weather hits. Also, the trail is frozen at night. It was minus 19 on the top.
Wow.
And so, but what I learned ultimately was more people make it to the top when you do it at night because you can't see the trail and it doesn't get in your head on how far it is.
Oh,
But they didn't tell us that till it was done.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. But it was a zigzag trail.
Yeah.
4,000 feet up all through the night. So there was a moment about 3 a.m. and I was just like, I don't know, like I'm getting tired. I never wanted to quit, but I had a story in my head that I was trying to tell myself and it didn't work. But the one thing that worked was our buddy, the owner of our company, Sean Broussard.
Yep.
But the day I left, he put his arm around me and said, hey, you've told the whole world you're doing this mountain. If you don't make it, you don't have to tell everybody you don't make it. You can just say, I climbed Kilimanjaro. And I was like, I don't know, that seems kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
And so at 3 a.m, I started thinking about that. And I was like, screw him. Like, I'm making it, right? Like,
yeah, come on, Sean.
Yeah, come on, dude. Like, I don't want to go back.
Dude, that's our inspirational CEO right there,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Just, if you don't get there,
so
no
he
big
says
deal.
now, of course, he told me that on purpose to motivate me.
Yeah,
like he takes credit for that.
Of course he does.
But it did motivate me. That's the crazy thing, right? So I think we all need something like that to motivate us, to keep us going.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. It surfaced in the middle of the night, and it was hard, and you have 50% oxygen at that kind of level.
That's
like
crazy.
Every step you take is very slow. It's hard to breathe. My nose was running. Like it was challenging.
Did you train? You had to train a lot for it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Lots of running.
I did. I didn't run at all. I only walked a lot, and I went to the gym 3 times a week. I did lots of leg work.
You've also done, because you're like the most interesting man in the world. You've also done was it a 12-hour walk?
Yes.
Or,
Yeah, that's what caused all this.
Okay, well, tell us that story.
So I read a book called The 12-Hour Walk, and
is it short? Walk for
Yeah, no, it's a great book. It's amazing stories. Anyway, Colin O'Brady tells you all these things he's done, inspires you, and then he says, during the pandemic, his mindset was not. He was struggling, so he told his wife he's going to go on this walk to try to get his mind right. And he went on a 12-hour walk, and it really helped him.
Was he planning on going 12 hours, or it just kind of happened?
Yeah, it just kind of, he knew he was going to go far.
Yeah.
So anyway, he puts this structure of the 12-hour walk together and challenges you to go out your front door and walk for 12 hours. It's like a meditation walk. So no music, no dogs, no audiobooks, just go by yourself and think. And so I just told my wife, I finished the book, and then I said, hey, on Saturday, I'm leaving at 5:30 in the morning. I'm going to go walk. Pick me up at 5:30 tonight. And she's like, are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing now?
Did you bring your phone? Or
I did. Yeah. It says bring your phone, put on airplane mode so you don't get distracted.
Yeah.
And she could see me on Live 360. And I was like, just don't be late. I'm going to be tired, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the lesson when I look back on it was I just did it. I didn't wait for weeks, because I've told this story to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I want to do the 12-hour walk. And guess what happens? They're like, I want the weather to be right.
Yeah,
I want
all
all
these
these
things.
things. Yeah. And then all the motivation wanes. I just walked out the door and did it. And I went 30 miles that day, which I didn't know. I've never been 30 miles on a walk.
That's
so
a
that
really, really long walk.
It was a long time, a long way.
At what point did your mind become clear? Like, because I feel like if I started walking, I'm just picturing this. This may not be true, so you can tell me if I'm wrong. But I'm picturing if I went on a walk and I start walking for the first, I've never walked that far, obviously.
Yeah.
But for the first 30 minutes to an hour, like my mind is still going, thinking about mortgages and this client, we need to call this person back. Like, does that wane eventually to where that goes and you feel clearer?
Kind of. So this is what I found is I would talk into my phone voice memos, and then I had it transcribed into notes.
Okay.
So what I found was the more I thought about something, once I had a resolution to it, I quit thinking about it. But if I didn't, I kept thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that probably makes sense.
Yeah.
But also, I had moments of, this is dumb, why am I doing this? To, I had a moment where I looked up and it had been an hour and I couldn't remember the street I crossed. Like, I was so deep into thought at one point. So I had all the different emotional ranges, if you will.
There's actually my counselor one time told me this theory, and someone who's a psychology person could probably tell me the actual, what it actually means, or what it's actually called. But basically there's this study that they did on servers, where like restaurant servers. And so like if the server got it in order correct, so you wanted a fajita with cheese. So they bring out your fajita with cheese. As soon as they deliver the plate, it's out of sight, out of mind. They forget about it. And if you ask them at the end of their shift, what did John order? They'd be like, I have no idea. But if Jake ordered steak fajitas with bacon and I got chicken fajitas with cheese, and I say, hey, this order is wrong, they would remember it after their shift. And like kind of the idea is like the order fulfillment idea, like until something is like completed the way that you like want it to be completed, and that applies to like your thought loops too, like until you've like got to a resolution is the way that you used, like your brain will keep churning on it and churning on it until you get a resolution. And so I just thought that's really interesting. And our world's so fast, especially in the real estate world, like in my world, you're going from one thing to the next all the time. Like I don't feel like you get a lot of resolution at times. So
but
I don't know,
but I think that the difference too of this amount of time is there's so much time to sort through the problem that you do get to work through it. Like if you say, go work on these problems and spend 2 hours sitting at the park today, 2 hours may not be enough.
Yeah.
12 hours seems so long that you're like, I got all day. And so you can go to something and come back to it.
Yeah.
And then eventually when you've sorted it out, like I never thought about it again. It was really odd.
Yeah.
Like it's really odd.
Weird.
You play golf, right?
I love
like
to play golf.
the holes you remember are the ones you messed up.
That's right.
Not all the good ones.
That's right.
For some reason, the same
That's
idea.
right. Yeah.
But
which is a lot to remember if you're me. There's a lot of holes that I
yes.
missed. Yeah.
Yeah. I think my big takeaway was this one thing. In 2015, I went to an event and I saw Bob Goff speak.
I love
Bob
Goff.
He's amazing. He's one of my favorite people. And he told a story about, it was crazy, going to Africa, taking on witch doctors. He ended up adopting this kid and climbing Kilimanjaro at his 10-year birthday,
Yes,
right?
I remember that story.
So it's a great story. So in my mind, I'm like, I found my life plan I did at this event. I went to a Building Champions experience in Oregon, and they sit you in the forest for an afternoon, and you write a life plan. Well, I heard him speak, and I wrote in there, I want to climb Kilimanjaro. Well, I sat on that for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then when I was on this walk, it kept coming up. I'm like,
Yeah.
now's the time, right? Why didn't I take action? I don't know. And so what I kept thinking was, I need to get in better shape. I'm turning 50. I don't have a lot of distraction.
50?
I'm 51 now.
Hey,
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I
Happy
don't
birthday.
look,
Yeah,
a
I
day over 40,
we
right?
were both
Exactly.
30, yeah.
So I think that goes back to like, okay, we all have things in our mind that we think about. How do we move them to action? And a 12-hour walk is what it took to get me to move it to action, right?
Yeah.
And so I joined the gym. I started working out. And what happened also was it was real easy to get up in the morning and go work out all of a sudden because I had this big goal.
Yep.
And I had to make it to the top.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay.
The day of reckoning's coming.
Yeah. I'm like,
regardless.
okay, it's 5:30. I got to get up and go.
Yeah.
Well, if I didn't have the big goal, 5:30, you can negotiate with yourself.
Yeah.
But when you have the big goal, it's like, nope. It was just easy. You didn't even think about it.
I love
so
it.
how can we get clear on our vision for our business and for the things we're doing in our life that's so compelling that you just get up and go and you quit overthinking, you know, and you just do.
What Sean's advice to me today was.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a good transition there. So we never even got to this. What's your intro? What do you do? What's your service first? What's your intro?
Yeah, so I work at Service First with you, and I run sales for a division. I've been here for 17 years at Service First. What that means is I do recruiting, I do coaching, I do mentoring, I solve problems, I do whatever is needed, to come up. And I started in the business in '98 as a loan officer, built my business up, built a team up. That turned into a branch. Some of those people turned off into other branches. And there was a point where I was originating and I had a branch and I had a couple others, and I was like, oh my God, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
And I had to just focus. So I quit originating at one point and focused on leadership because I felt called to do that.
Yeah.
It just felt like that's who I am as a person and what makes me the most happy. Not always makes you the most money or something like that, but that's the path I've chosen. I've been on for years, and Service First has been awesome to me for that time.
When did you transition from like producing salesperson into a leadership role? How far into your career was that before Service First or?
No, it was at Service First. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was doing loans always. In 2008, there was a big meltdown, and it made you do anything you can to survive. So we were doing loans, we were recruiting people, we were doing whatever we had to do to get by. It was really tough.
Yeah.
And then so fast forward into probably maybe it's closer to 2015 or something like that, where I finally was just like, my wife was running a business that we owned. It was a franchise. I had kids in school, going to sports. I had branches. I had my own branch. I had my own production. I was just like overwhelmed at one point.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the one thing that I'm not as passionate about right now. I'm gonna pivot. And so I started focusing on recruiting and leadership. But I always did that. Ever since the day I've walked in the door here, I've always done that also. Yeah. I just try to do production also.
What is looking back on your career now? So you've been you said 98. So that's almost 30 years ago now. I mean, we're 28 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time.
28 years ago?
Yep.
That's the math there.
I was
Mr.
12.
Mr. Producer, we need math. What is 2026 minus 99? Okay, so looking back now, you've been through a lot. So you've been through the dot-com bubble. You've been through 9/11. You've been through the great financial crisis, which is a big part of our business. You were probably, you definitely were part of the big QE run, so the quantitative easing run from 2010 to 2021, and then COVID happened, and you're part of the COVID, which I think everyone thought was going to be really scary and bad, and turned out to be probably the best time to be in the mortgage business ever, besides today, of course.
Yep.
And then now, of course, the post-COVID era and the world that we live in today. So looking back, is there it's a twofold question. What era was the most challenging in your career?
Yeah.
And what era has been like the easiest? And if you can tie those two things together, like from a mindset perspective, like when it was really tough, were you like, hey, is this ever going to get better?
Yeah.
And it's really good. Are you like, is it ever going to be bad? You know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a lot wrapped up there, but I'm interested to
So
see what you think about it.
there's a couple of things. Let's start with the challenging mindset time frame. 2009, I came on board here at Service First. It was February 2009. It was equal to, in a sense, what we went through in about 2023, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
equal to. The difference was a couple years ago was a death of 10,000 cuts in my mind. It was
Yeah.
slow and drawn out
Yeah.
and challenging, and you didn't know what was going to happen. We
Yeah.
still don't know what's going to
Yeah. I
happen.
think
Like
we're
we
still in
don't
that a
know.
little bit. Yeah.
We're coming out of that. But in 2009, it was different because it was so fast and so crazy that it just devastated. It was like a bomb went off.
Yeah.
And then you had to deal with all the rubble and build yourself back up.
Yeah.
So it was a different feel. Which one was harder? They were both hard in the mindset, but the mindset was different. It was a survival mindset in both cases. But what I kept saying in 2010 when it was really slow was, there's a lot less forks in the pie. If we can just stick it out, we're going to have an amazing run. And that ended up being very true.
So that's something you kind of held on to.
I
It's
held
like
on to
your
that.
battle
That was
cry
my
almost.
mantra,
Yeah.
if you will, is like,
Yeah.
hey, we're going to be the last guy standing.
Yep.
Even if there's less business, we're going to do the business that's left.
Yeah.
And it worked. Like
Yeah.
we had an amazing run from 2011 to
Yeah.
wherever, 2018 or 15 or all that. It was some of the best years.
Yeah.
Actually is my most favorite years. Even though we did a lot in COVID, those are my most favorite years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So and then when you're in those like really good times,
Yep.
how do you kind of stay grounded and like things are going really easy, it's downstream. Like how do you keep from letting up and leaning out of the business, if that makes sense, to staying
Yeah.
Consistent.
I don't think I was always good at that. When the younger version of me kept moving the success bar out higher and higher.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
chasing whatever it was.
Yeah.
Oh, I made this money, or I hit this goal, I did this thing. Now what? What's next? What's
Mhm.
next? And as I've gotten older, I feel a lot more content with the life I have and the things I have and the things I've tried. I don't know if I'd be moving the bar as hard as I was when I was younger.
Yeah.
Maybe that's easy to say once you've done whatever it is you're aiming
Yeah.
at. Like I had a lot of success. I had some stuff, a couple houses or different
Yeah.
cars, or went on some trips, or whatever the thing is you're aiming
Yeah.
at, right? I did a lot of that. Now I look back and I'm like, it didn't make me that happy
Yeah.
ish, like I got to have those experiences,
Yeah.
but I don't regret it.
Yeah.
But today, the older I am, the less I'm pushing that bar
Yeah.
out there, and I'm feeling a lot more content with things.
A lot of truth here. A lot of truth here.
Yeah. Happiness, like think about what makes you happy. I'm pretty happy. Like I was happy then, but it's hard to be happy
Yeah.
if you're always moving the bar out.
Man, there's 2 books. So you're a reader. You're a reader, right?
Yep,
I
big
can
time.
tell because I can see
Always.
your bookcase behind you whenever we're on Zoom calls. There's 2 books that I think are kind of like dance around this idea that you're talking about. One is The Gap and the Gain, who I'm forgetting who wrote that one. And the other one is The Art of Spending Money. The Gap and the Gain is basically this idea that like a lot of successful people measure their life in the gap. So it's like, I'm here and I want to be here. And like, that's the gap. The problem is like that goal keeps moving. And so
Yeah.
like CEOs or like top producing salespeople are like, I don't remember the statistics, but X amount of times more likely to have like depression and anxiety and all these like mental health issues because they're like really, really successful and like really excelling. But at the same time, they never feel that, like they never recognize it. So they're always chasing this target that they never
It moves.
hit.
Yeah, because it always
Yeah.
moves.
Yeah. And so the point of that book is like, you can also measure your life in the gain, which is like occasionally there's some exercises of
Yeah.
like looking back, like where you came from. And then the other book, Art of Spending Money, is basically the idea is like, why do you want a bigger house? Well, it's like, I want to host my family and friends. It's like, so what makes you happy is hanging out with your family and friends, not having a bigger house. Like you can go hang out with your family and friends at the park, you don't have to. But I think in our culture, like it's so easy to get caught up in like both of those things. And I personally have struggled with that as a young, I still consider myself young. Some may not, but I'm 4 years into the mortgage business. My first year was rookie of the year. And that was like top of the world.
I remember.
And then I doubled my production in my next year. And it's like, man, like now I'm President's Club. And like, all these things are happening and like, they just become normal. And you're like, well, yeah, but I'm not number one, it's like, or I'm not. And then when you're number one, it's like, I'm not number one in the world. And it's like,
it's never enough.
So I don't know. I mean,
I think couple things is I tell my kids this all the time and everybody else. Comparison is the thief of joy. And that's what you're telling me right now.
Yeah.
The more you keep comparing yourself to everybody else and other things and moving the needle, you're never going to be happy, right?
Yep.
That's one thing. The other thing is if you practice gratitude in the morning and get your head right and be thankful for the things you do have, a lot of things start to change for you.
Yeah.
I think. And I've gone through some really deep spells of that.
Yeah.
I went to an event with Tony Robbins where we walked on burning coals.
Yeah.
And what I took out of that more than even doing the firewalk was this video that I was doing every single morning. And it was a gratitude video where I would reflect on things. And it was very powerful for me. And it's probably one of the places where I started to realize that exactly what you said. Here's something. This is for me. I had a romantic view when I was young that I could have this lake house and all my friends would come, and I had a vision exactly what it was going to be like.
Yeah.
But guess what? People didn't come. They did sometimes, but they couldn't come as much and not as much as I wanted. And it was my terms, not their terms. And I would have the moments, but they weren't as often as I wanted. You know why? Because it wasn't realistic.
Yeah.
And so this romantic view makes you chase this stuff, and then you get there and you're like, maybe that wasn't going to happen the way I thought it was. And now I've spent all this money and time doing that.
Yeah.
And so maybe you have to have the self-awareness to go, I do just want to hang out with my friends. And I don't have to buy a lake house. I can just go rent one for the week or whatever. That was my example because that's real personal to me.
Yeah. Well, that's something, I mean, I think a lot of us, and especially in our business, it can be a little bit of a, $30,000 millionaire. But, my joke is like everyone wants the nice car, even if you're struggling, like in real estate, there's just like this whole thing. And so I appreciate how real that you are about that. And I think even produce, like as a salesperson, like I have found that I am most happy and most also successful, like whenever I'm not focusing on just finding more success. And when it comes to dollars and cents, when I wake up and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to do the best thing for my client that I'm talking to right now. I'm going to do the best thing for my partner who sent them to me. Like I'm going to just try to serve these people the way that or my team. Now I've got people that work on my team. So it's like, how can I serve them and empower them? And when I have that mindset, like, and you're not focusing on the dollars, like you're like, whoa, like that actually kind of takes care of itself if you're focused on the other thing. But it is so hard in our business. I mean, you get on LinkedIn and Instagram and all the social media, and it is just like, it's all over the place. It's in your face. Yes. And you always feel like you're behind or whatever. But anyway.
But that's your own choice to think that. Yeah. And you got to work on that. Yeah. Internally, like it's simple, servant leadership. My definition is from John Maxwell. I want more for people than I want from them. Yeah. And I've really internalized that over the years. I have to in my role. Yeah. My role isn't, I don't see my name in lights. Yeah. My job is to build you guys up and you guys be the heroes. Yep. Right. And so sometimes that's lonely if you think about it. Yeah. And I've got to be okay with that. Yeah. If you go down that path. But servant leadership is about that. If enough people get what they want, you get what you want. Yep. That's where you're going with that.
Yeah. I think Tim Keller, who's a fantastic author, the late Dr. Tim Keller, has a quote that humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. Yeah. And I think like that's kind of the thought process is like, don't be so caught up in your own production and numbers and things. So anyway, dude, I really appreciate your mindset. In fact, this is one of my favorite things about doing the podcast, Mr. Producer, and our viewers, is that you just don't get to have these conversations in our what I call TikTok world, where everything happens
Yes.
in 7 seconds. But okay, so kind of shifting gears here. You've been at Service First for a while. You're in leadership. You're on the executive team. You're the executive director of sales. Obviously, you're very passionate about leadership and people. And the world's changing a lot right now,
Yes.
especially with AI. Like that's like probably what everybody talks about every time I get on
Yes.
anything. It's AI this, it's AI that. Every email that I get right now, I can tell is AI generated
Yes.
from like the blasted emails. They're all created by AI. You can tell. I don't think it's going away. I think it's going to probably continue to grow. And so there's rumors like, okay, in the future, what's the future of the mortgage business? Do you have loan officers? Do you have people at all? Is it you scan your thumbprint and you get a mortgage like that? Or what do you think? Because you're a people guy. I just know that about you.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit of a people guy myself.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a people guy. So
You are.
with that in mind, like what do you see the future of like the mortgage business from that lens? From
the consumer or the loan officer?
maybe from our side, from the business side. Like what do you think? Do you think there's room for people in our business in the future?
I think there is. I think that if you look out there, what's happening, technology is finally starting to actually make the process a little easier. Starting to. I've been in this business a while.
Yeah.
I remember in 2000, they said, we're not going to need loan officers because you can apply online. So for 25 years, I've been told that we're not going to be relevant as salespeople, and it hasn't happened yet. So just for the record. But something is different this time. AI is actually intelligent. It's not just
stinking
software.
Smart.
It's really smart, and it can think, which is kind of the difference, And so that makes us scared, right? I actually feel anxiety about it.
Yeah.
That I don't like, but I can't figure out how to stop it yet.
Do you know Claude? Claude is Anthropic's AI model. It's growing. I think it's probably the most popular right now, just anecdotally. Everyone I talk to is switching from chat to Claude. Don't know why, but that just seems to be the trend. Claude's first, like it whether this is real or not, it admitted, it's like, hey, I do kind of feel things, whether it's like the way you feel them or not, maybe not the same, but it's like I kind of do feel things. And the first thing that Claude felt, or says it felt, was anxiety.
Yeah. Well,
and so it's like,
because that's what we feel.
I think we all feel anxiety about it. And I think if Claude is really that smart, it would probably look around and think, ooh, man, like I'm anxious about me too. It's like, so anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like,
well, that's a scary thought too, because then what is it going to do to self-protect itself?
Yeah.
And that's what we fear. But let's go to mortgage. So,
sorry.
I think that if you look ahead, people are going to use Claude or ChatGPT or whatever AI tool, and they're going to ask it, help me find a house, help me get a loan, who should I go to? We've got to figure out how to be options in these systems.
Yeah.
Yesterday Redfin came out and said they just did a deal with ChatGPT to be the real estate source. So when people start asking, you drive to Redfin somehow. I don't know the details. That was yesterday. And so we've got to find ourselves in that world. But what I also know is even up until recently, the big rocket company said only a small percentage of people actually go through the process without talking to somebody at some point. There's a point where every person wants to have a conversation.
Yeah.
At some point. So you've got to figure out where that is. I think that this is probably where you're going. Is a loan officer going to be relevant? Is probably it. I think even through my conversations with my little chat friends, in ChatGPT and Claude and all that, what I see is that the loan officers, we went from 200-some thousand loan officers a couple years ago down to somewhere around 100,000 now, when we're going less. I think we're going to be down to like 10,000 loan officers in 5 years. Like maybe a small amount, and they're going to do a whole lot of the volume.
Yeah.
I think of like an insurance agency where there's a guy out calling on all of our loan officers, and he's not the one you call to get the policy.
Yeah.
You call his team. It's going to be like that, but the team may be more AI than it is humans.
Yeah.
I think that you're going to have a person that's more like an analyst sitting there behind the scenes, like a processor that's just watching for things that red flag.
Yeah.
And they got to go in and solve that
Yep.
problem. And
Or-
so
yeah.
we may consolidate our operations teams from an LOA and a setup and a processor and an underwriter and a closer, now 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, working in an AI agent.
Yeah, working these agents. And then the loan officer is going to be out there on scale talking to a large amount of people,
Yeah.
driving people to your sites.
To your
I feel
system.
like it's going that way.
Mm-hmm.
Will there be people that do a small amount of business? Maybe, I don't know. Those
Yeah.
people are going away less and less.
So that brings me to my question. This is a hot topic in the mortgage world, is a lot of the broker thing. So a lot of people are switching to the broker model, which, to explain for people who don't know, it's like you're kind of just a one-man band at that point, for the most part. You're
right.
you're quote unquote supposedly shopping out different lenders to get the best deals. Statistically, you're shopping with UWM, maybe Rocket,
Right.
but it's really, it's not as
Actually, you can't do both in the broker world. You have to pick one.
Well, you're supposed to.
Yeah, I know.
You're supposed to. There's
Well, you're
been-
supposed to.
There's
but
a big debate, and I got in a debate on LinkedIn. Sorry about my online debates, but I got in a debate on LinkedIn because the broker was like, "Yeah, one thing we do is we'll lock you with this lender, and if pricing improves, we'll send you over to this lender and lock it." And we're like, "That's definitely violating your
Yeah.
agreement with the lender, and they're probably not thrilled that you're doing that." So, anyway, I just say it to say our world's changing a lot. A lot of people are going to this broker model, and brokers love to slam retail.
Oh, yeah,
mortgage.
big time.
It's like, "Oh, I can't, you terrible rates," and all the things, why we're so evil.
Right.
Do you think that that's the way the world's going, or do you think that it's just kind of the wave or the cycle that we're in right now?
I don't know for sure, but what I can tell you is my own experience. So when I got in the business in the late 90s all the way till 2008, a broker was a viable option, just like it is today.
Yep.
So you had retail, you had broker, and you had banks, and the broker could do some things back then that the retail people couldn't. But, there's always this service level that you could get consistency out of a retail that is harder to get out of the broker level.
Yeah.
That was always a thing. And then all of a sudden, the collapse happened. And I think this is important to think about, because when that collapse happened, all those brokers lost warehouse lines, and all those people that were dependent on brokering loans, they had no outlets. So the retail people are the ones that made it, right? And so when you work for a bank or a credit union or independent mortgage banker, you had a way to fulfill loans. That was, so all you had to do was be in the game and you won, which is kind of cool. And then when you watch like that, everybody came into a lot. We hired brokers and we did a lot of stuff back then, even as a company.
Yep.
And then technology started allowing brokers to come back in again. So the technology's better this time.
Yeah.
If you go through the cycle I've watched, technology's better this time. But what happens if there is a crash? What happens if there's a credit squeeze? Guess what? Those brokers are going to be scrambling like crazy.
Yeah.
I know us at Service First, we have contingencies. We're going to stay in business and we're going to continue to fund loans. Can you run your business wondering about when is it going to crash? No.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I don't know many home builders that would say they want a broker as their preferred lender.
Yeah.
Why
they
is that?
Don't. Yeah, they don't.
Why is that? I think broker is a viable option for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just different. There's pros and cons to both sides of it.
And I think I think the retail world's changing a lot too.
Yes.
And it probably needed to, and I think a lot of the brokers were in the old retail world where the pricing was bad and you have 17 managers that,
Right.
and so then they go to this broker model and they, all of a sudden they think, I get to keep all this money that I was, giving away. I think the retail world, and I see this because we compete with other retail companies all the time. The pricing is like broker
It's good.
level pricing.
We compete with them now.
Yeah.
The banker world, we have a model. The cliche word transparency, that was like the big one, right?
Yeah.
We had to adopt and change. So what I sell now is a transparent model where margins. We never would have told you margins in the past just because that's not what you did.
Yeah.
But now you know your margins, you know how to compete and all that. So we compete with the broker world.
Yeah. Well,
you know?
and I just think like as technology scales, that you're right, and margins compress because margins are compressing and have
Yep.
compressed. Is like you're probably right. Like it'll be a future where you just got to be able to do more. And I think the days where you have a loan officer making X amount of dollars per transaction,
Right.
like and by X amount I mean a lot, a ton of money
Yes.
per deal. I think that may be getting
I
squeezed
know
out.
enough guys in the business, in the broker world, that what I see happen is a lot of them that go broker don't do a lot of business, and they do all the weird products
Mm-hmm.
because that's all they have, right? So they're
Mm-hmm.
going to go find a way to make the most money they
Yeah.
can. But what happens when you really start doing volume is you become a mini core and
Mm-hmm.
you get a warehouse line. And
Yep.
guess what? You become a banker.
You're becoming a
Why?
banker again.
Because you
Yeah.
want control and you
Yeah.
want margin and you want all this stuff
Yeah.
and you want a team and all that. So
Yep.
it's kind of funny. So volume generally
Pushes you back.
It
Yeah.
kind of pulls you back. If you want to just maximize the few deals and do 2 or 3 loans a month, broker's a great option.
Yeah. But
It
if you're
really
trying to
is.
grow and
Yeah.
scale and do, yeah.
Right.
Oh, I couldn't
If
imagine
you're going to
doing.
compare yourself to the top producers in the world all of a sudden,
Yeah.
probably going to need to be at a
Yeah.
bank.
Yeah. Yeah. And the brokers that do grow end up being, they're like, we're broker. Yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
sorry, I didn't mean for this to be a broker bash
No, I
session.
don't. It's really,
Um,
I'm trying not to be. I think there's both sides.
I think
I
so
really
too.
do.
I think there is too. Clearly, the market has dictated that there's value in that. Clearly, like
Yep.
it's growing.
Yep.
Brokers are taking more share of the market. So by all means, there is clearly a place for it, and that is a place that is still continuing to grow. I just, I just, as we're talking about the world changing, that's something I've noticed is, there is like a big push into the broker space, but at the same time, like the transparency model that the
Yeah.
bank, independent mortgage banks have been rolling out, has been interesting.
So your pivot, your value prop becomes your marketing ability and not your loan knowledge as much is what the difference is, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Because our ability of I always say a good loan officer is one that can anticipate the problems before they happen.
Yep.
That's what I've always said. And so if I look up into the future, there may not be as many problems.
Yeah.
Maybe it does get
Yeah.
easier. The automations are starting to be
Oh,
better.
yeah.
So then what? Now your problem is leads.
Marketing.
Yeah,
Sales
marketing.
and
Getting
marketing.
in front of enough people to get the volume that you want to get.
Yeah, for sure. What is at Service First? What is your thoughts on our what I call USP, our unique selling proposition, from a recruiting perspective? Like why should somebody work here?
Yeah.
As a loan officer or whatever, branch manager, whatever you want to call it, that person, and then what is our unique selling proposition to the individual consumer?
Yeah, that's good. I think the people that are a great fit for us are the ones that do a decent amount of business, that is they have a team and they want to have control of their margin and their price and all that. Those are good fits for us because they can come here and have support of a consistent system
Yep.
that's predictable, and they can compete at wherever they want. If they want to be a preferred lender for a builder on a lower margin, great. If they want to just be chasing, referrals from their database and realtors and have a little different margin, it's their choice. It's not our choice.
Yeah.
And they can customize. Do they want to have assistants? Do they want to spend money on leads a certain way? They get to choose all that. So we put them in control, almost like a franchise.
They kind of own their own business.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think that's the thing that's attractive. And that wasn't always who we were at the end of the day, you know. And now you kind of pivot over to your question of like, why would a consumer choose us? We do have a great price.
Yeah.
We also have 20,000 reviews on experience.com.
Yeah.
At a 4.9 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
We do something right.
Clearly.
When all of your customers that are filling these out are all saying, "Hey guys,
Really happy.
you're kicking it, you're killing out of the park."
Well, that's funny. Because sometimes in this role, you're like, you have self-doubt or whatever. You're like, are we good at what we do? Well, sometimes maybe that's just me, but I was buying a house personally, like I just closed on about 2 weeks ago, but I was going through the process and I thought like, so I'm not going to say the name, but if you go to bankrate.com, it's always the cheapest and worst, in my opinion, lenders. And the cheapest lender on bankrate.com was cheaper than our employee pricing. Right. And I had this thought of like, man, should I like just do my loan through this company because it's cheaper, it'll save me $40 a month or whatever. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, No, I would never. As a consumer, I would never do that because I had this vision of me showing up to the title company and it's like, oh, the documents aren't ready. And I've got to call the seller who's like counting on me closing because he's got to move. And I start running through all these scenarios and I'm like, I don't care how much it costs. Like I have to be able to close this thing on time. I don't want my escrow account messed up. I don't want, and so I started thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm never doing that. Like I'm not going to.
But you get what you pay for.
You do, but it's so hard in my role. Actually, I'd love your advice on this. It's so hard in my role to not sound like a salesperson when trying to explain that value to somebody who doesn't do this every day. Because for me, I'm looking at this other option thinking, no shot I would ever do that because I don't want to risk this huge purchase. And even if it is $27 more a month, like at least it'll close. You maybe $27 more cheaper that on a deal that never happens, or they retrade me and they're wrong, or I give them my sensitive information and then it disappears. You know, it's all these things. So like, what is your advice to a salesperson? Like, how do you communicate that value to somebody without outright sounding like a salesperson and saying, don't work with them, they're terrible. It's, you know,
first of all, I mean, you are a salesperson. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
I mean, but your job is to help these people, right? And that's how you have to, your mindset has to be, I'm just helping them. I would do it through my own stories. When I was really young, I sold computers and I worked at Best Buy and CompUSA. And so I had to sell warranties, a 5-year warranty at the end of the transaction. And I got hourly pay, but I would get a lot of a bonus or a spiff or whatever they called it if I sold these warranties. And I never sold them very good. And then guess what? I had a power surge hit my house and it wiped out my computer, fried. But I had bought the warranty because I got the employee price on it where I worked. So I took it back and they gave me a brand new one. Guess what? Every single customer that came in now, I got to tell my story. And they bought the warranty and I was like the hero. But I didn't feel like I was selling anymore because it was my truth. See what I'm going? Like, what is your story? I just interviewed somebody for a loan officer assistant job. And I love this one thing she said. She goes, I love being an assistant because I get to help customers buy a house. And I've gone through 2 home purchases in my life and they've been terrible. And I never want somebody to experience what I've experienced. And so when I hear her talk, I'm like, she'll be good because she's relatable to her own life experience. And so if you don't have your own experience, you have to go find one that somebody else has and then own that story. Because you're not lying. You're telling the truth. This is what could happen. And this is what you're willing to risk if you take that lower price. And, you know, I know this is like dramatic, but, well, this is maybe too dramatic. But there's this time I was watching a video.
I'll tell you if it's too dramatic.
So there's time I was watching this video. And this guy was on the edge of the Grand Canyon taking a picture of his family. And he stepped back and he fell in. And he's gone. Like, that's dramatic, right? And I had this weird thought and nightmares for a long time. And you know what? You get in these moments in life and you think, this never happens to me. People actually do fall in the Grand Canyon. People actually die in a car wreck. I know it's like really dramatic. You know what I'm saying? But it's really a lot more frequent that they mess up on a mortgage, you know? So I know that's like kind of out there, but I've remember that and it like scarred me that now I was like probably too cautious of a parent a little bit because I'm like, watch out. Things can happen to you.
Don't go, no fun.
No, you can't do it, you know?
Don't climb Mount Kilimanjaro.
No, I mean, crazy.
Don't walk for 12 hours now.
No, you still got to live life, right? But at the end of the day, those things happen. It's easy to find. If you go and look up those competitors, I wonder, I don't even know this one. Google reviews for that company with the lowest price.
It'll be Reddit. We'll be like, has anyone else had a terrible experience with
Exactly.
They're like, yes, use a local lender. That's literally Reddit's like mortgage. Please use it, whether it's a broker or, you know.
So there's that. So that's the advice to you is own the story. Share with them, educate people on what can happen, help them see where they're going, and the choices have consequences. You know, that's at the end of the day. Your choice has a consequence. If you want to make sure you're paying to get this done on time because the house is what matters most and not the rate or the payment. That's it.
For sure.
You know.
Okay, well, let's wrap this up here. My last question. is what advice would you give to yourself if you were starting over today?
I've been thinking about this, actually.
Good thing I asked, Mr. Producer.
This one's easy, but you'll understand why. I wish, looking back in the beginning of time when I first started in the mortgage business, somebody would have forced me to own my database. Like, own it. And put every person I met in it, friends, family, everybody, and really own that database, because I didn't do that. And I've had different iterations over the years, and I can only imagine what it might look like if I had 30 years of contacts that I consistently marketed to.
Yeah.
Who knows? I may be sitting on the beach now, not even working anymore.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, there's a lot of things, I'm sure, but that's the one thing that talking to loan officers, recruiting, coaching our own people, who owns it? Like, who really owns their database? Not very many people.
Yeah.
And the few that do, crush it.
Yeah.
Just crush it.
That's great advice. We could go on about that. I think that's kind of the age-old debate of urgent versus important. And I think a lot of times in the mortgage business, we spend our life in the urgent, the next lead that just called, the next, the deal that's fallen apart that needs your help to fix it. Like, instead of thinking long-term of like, man, in 30 years, I'm probably not going to remember this transaction, but I sure wish I had my database. So, John, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I know that our listeners will benefit from it. And so if somebody's interested in joining Service First and they're thinking, man, what I'm doing is not working out, what's the best way to get in touch with you to do that?
For me, I'm on LinkedIn a lot. Just go to the John Donnelly. Go to my website, johndonnelly.com. You'll find me out there. I'm easy. Just shoot me a message. We'll have a conversation and just see where it goes.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the podcast, and we'll see you guys next time for the Little Real Estate Podcast. Applause. Thank you for doing that, Mr. Producer. See you later.